Von Sinatra swing to Brando stage. Marilyn's grace to JFK's age. It's Johnny Russo, Hollywood's own. The Jeannie Raymond secrets are shown. Hollywood Godfather.
Welcome, everybody. It's time for another Hollywood Godfather podcast. And tonight we have a very special guest. In fact, he's my co-author. But before I introduce who he is, and you may know him already, let's introduce the beautiful Jeannie Raymond, my co-host. Thank God.
Hello. Happy Monday. My Monday night guy.
Well, I'm happy to say that I have Michael Benson on the show tonight, who's my co-author. And we're going to talk about a new book he has coming out. And we have some surprises about that. Michael Benson, say hello.
Hey, how you doing, Gianni? Hey,
Love
Jeannie,
it.
how you doing? You look
I'm
beautiful tonight.
Oh, thank you. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming back.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for having me. So much has happened since I was here last.
Oh, I know, my God. I mean,
I think-
you know what I like about it is this book here,
Yeah.
Carlo Gambino. This man changed my life. I don't know if you know it.
Tell the story.
He gave me this radio.
That's the radio?
That's the radio 71 years ago. He gave me this radio 71 years ago. He sent it up to his niece for my 7th birthday.
And where were you?
I was in Bellevue for 5 years. And this radio introduced me to Frank Sinatra, who changed my life, became my mentor. So I can't wait to dive into your interpretation of this, because I know who you wrote the book with. And so with that said, tell us how you got into this book.
Well, I met Frank Damario pretty much the same way I met you. Gary Goldstein invited us out to lunch. We sat down, and Frank had just written a book all by himself, which, considering that he had a 6th grade education, school was cutting into his hanging out on street corner time. He had lots of stories. He knew how to tell them, but he had no mastering of the English language whatsoever. And he wrote a book.
Sounds like me, but I'm older than he shot.
But he sat down and pluck, and wrote his own book called Lying in the Basement, about Joey Gallo scaring the crap out of guys with keeping a lion in the basement of their social club on President Street. So Gary introduces us and says, can you fix this book, put it into the King's English so that people in Kansas will read it? And I said, sure. And first of all, I read it, and it's a great book, even the way it is. It's great. I could see why people in Middle America wouldn't be able to handle the D's and do's, because he wrote words the way they sound, not the way they're actually spelled. And sometimes I would have to call him up and figure out what a word was. We spent maybe 15, 20 minutes once. Neither one of us could figure out what the word was. It was prosciutto.
Prosciutto. Oh, my God. Well, that's a tough one to begin with.
He had it spelt the way his mom pronounced it. I was okay. But so we wrote the book together. I added some material. I interviewed his mom, who's in her late 80s. And it came out as President Street Boys. Sold really well. And I was listed as just the editor, which is pretty much what I was. But it did so well that they wanted us to team up again. And we started to write a series of books about top gangsters. Our first one was about Carmine Persico, who
I knew Junior well.
Well, he and Frank Damario are enemies. They couldn't be in the same room because Frank's dad, Ricky, was one of the guys that shot Carmine. That the time when he spit out the bullet on the sidewalk, that was fired by Frank's dad. I remember we talked about this on the Mob Candy show, and, and you're talking about how Carmine had a hand that didn't work right, and Frank and I are
Right.
looking at each other going, "Yeah, we know how that happened."
Yeah,
Um,
hello.
So, hey,
and
can I just stop you for
sure,
a second? Tell us who, for us people that don't know all the players here, tell us who Frank Damario is.
Frank Damario is the son of Ricky Damario, who was Larry Gallo's bodyguard.
Okay.
After the attempt on Larry Gallo in the Sahara
He
Lounge,
was an ex-boxer as a kid.
he was an ex-boxer. He according to the legend, he knocked out Emil Griffith in a bar fight and attracted the attention of the President Street Boys. I think the first person Tony Bender was the first guy who discovered him, and
From New Jersey, Tony
that's
Bender.
from Tony Bender. That's right, and he uh, he became a trusted member of the Gallo crew, the President Street Boys, and was in on some of their big hits. He was not in on the hit on Anastasia that came earlier, but later on he was, and he was smart enough not to be a made guy, and so he stayed freelance. And when the President Streets went away because of the problems in the Colombo family, they resurfaced as the guys who published and distributed Screw magazine, which for years and years was a real earner, disgusting as it was. But
Oh,
you know, for a while, every
I was about to ask what, but you pretty much cleared it up. What that book was, but
so so yeah, so and after Carmine Persico, we did Albert Anastasia. We were going to
All
do
people I know. That's why I stopped going to the Park Sheraton Hotel.
oh,
You know, Jeannie, what
after
happened? You know what happened, Jeannie, at the Park Sheraton Hotel?
no.
Albert Anastasia went for a shave and never
yeah,
got the chair.
and a generation earlier, Arnold Rothstein went to a
Yep,
card game there and came out with a bullet in his belly.
yep,
So yeah, don't go
Yeah,
there.
don't go there.
The barber
yeah.
shop is now a Starbucks, by the way. I've stood on the spot, you know, and
Wow.
they knew what I was doing. I said, "What do you want? You want a venti or what?"
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the spot where the Mad Hatter bit it. So
Hello.
and that one did very well. Also, we went on. We did Carmine DiBiase, not a famous guy, but the guy who happened to have actually been the killer of Joey Gallo. And at
Right.
that time, The Irishman was a big movie, and Frank was ticked off that there was this guy taking credit for the hit on Joey
Well, the
Gallo.
Irishman took so much credit for stuff
Oh,
that never happened.
oh,
Even
really?
Jimmy Hoffa, come on. This guy
Yeah.
was,
Well, I think now I don't want to get into any legal difficulties here, but I think the screenwriters talked to the oh, what's his name, the Irishman. They talked to him while he was perhaps past his prime, and he may have gotten confused when he was telling some of his stories.
yeah,
That happens sometimes. Yeah,
glorifying his life.
yeah. Um, but that was the point of that book. And then we did Carlo Gambino, which
Oh,
is
so this is only your third book with him.
Fourth. Fourth, right?
four. Yeah.
Fourth.
And I could be forgetting one. I know we did a lot of Carmines. Oh, we did Galante. There was
Yeah.
before we did The Cigar, which is the story of Carmine Galante.
Right.
Is he the guy? Who's the guy that died? They shot him, and then the cops stuffed his cigar back in his mouth.
That's Carmine Galante.
No,
No, that was still in his mouth.
I thought it was still in his mouth.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was
I
the
think
Daily
it-
News photographer putting the cigar in his mouth.
Yeah.
But that's the guy, yeah.
All right.
And
Well,
that was an interesting story. And before I started with all this, I was not a mafia file. I loved the movies. I loved The Godfather. Yeah, as you know, I loved The Goodfellas. But I didn't. I still know very little about today's mob. I take pride in not knowing anything about any living mobsters, ever,
The good news now, they went back underground.
Yeah,
I went
yeah. They don't
I
make
went
the
on,
papers every day.
well, yeah, well, no, but my uncles who've been involved with for 400 years in Palermo, they changed all the rules after Gotti. You had to be
Yeah,
silent again. It's crazy.
I would think that. Well, you know, and having just recently written about Joseph Colombo, it struck me as I wonder how Carlo Gambino felt about this boy he'd known. You know, Carlo was friends with Joe Colombo's dad, who
I
got
know.
whacked on Oliver Street in 1938. And
It's funny you should say that because, as you know, Tommy Bellotti called me when I was supposed to be at the second rally that Joe Colombo was having, and I was on to be on the dais. And the only reason I'm here because I called at that time Barry Schlotnick, who he hired to represent the Italian Anti-Defamation League. He was very smart to hire a Jewish guy. And I came to Brooklyn to meet with him, and I was supposed to be on the dais because, for the audience that don't know, Joe Colombo got me the part in The Godfather, nobody else. He got me cast. But I couldn't sit on the dais, and the reason why the old man didn't want me there, meaning Gambino, because that's when they shot him 5 times and put him in a coma for the rest of his life.
so Gambino takes this kid who he knew from the time he was a child, uh, brought him up. He made him boss. Um, when there were others probably more deserving after Profaci died and after Magliocco died.
But Bafacci didn't die. You're saying like he got natural causes.
Okay. So who's the kid that Colombo, or excuse me, that Gambino brought up?
That's Joe Colombo, and
Oh, okay.
he makes him boss of then becomes the Colombo family. And I think
Yeah,
the agreement is that he's always going to vote on Gambino's side.
right,
That's how you get to be boss of bosses. The other bosses are subservient to you.
right.
Um, and he sits back, and I think he must be very sad because he watches Colombo stop being a good gangster and
Yeah,
become a civil liberties activist, so almost a
yeah,
hippie.
a politician basically.
Yeah, yeah. I can't believe that you know, Gambino must have been very sad if indeed he was the one who ordered the hit, and he must have done it with a heavy heart because the two had a history.
Yeah, yeah. But
So,
it's funny because as I pointed out, even with that radio, that's how early I learned about my Uncle Carlo, because we all had to call him uncle on the street. In our
Right,
neighborhood, you saw him, you had to give him the respect and go over and kiss his hand if he let you. Sometimes you would, sometimes you wouldn't. It was all kind of mood he's in. But I really thought we had the biggest, family in the world. Everybody's my aunt and uncle over
right,
21
right.
on Mulberry Street.
so who took over after? So Gambino gave it to Joe Colombo, and then Joe Colombo was killed. Am I following this right?
You are.
Then who
Yes.
took over?
Well, he wasn't killed. He was put in a coma for 5
Oh,
years.
yeah, those. So then who was in charge?
Well,
Well, there's a couple of people.
Oh,
eventually it's going to be Carmine Persico.
Right.
okay.
There are because Colombo doesn't die for 7 years, but only his thumb
Yeah,
twitches.
Carmine took over the family and ran it.
Right, but
He's a street boss now.
and there were acting bosses that weren't really in charge.
No.
Okay.
And whose names escape me right now, but they were DeBella. Was it? Anyway, so
Well,
yeah, we go into the Persico era, and that lasts until fairly recently. You know, when the Persico book came out, his granddaughter squawked, "We're gonna sue! You can't say that. He never killed anybody. He was never a gangster. We're just gonna
Oh
sue
my
you.
God.
We're gonna owe your publishing company." And the legal staff at our publisher Kensington freaked out, and they called me up and I said, "Well, give me a night. I'll get together a brief for you." And I said, "Well, when I first had the idea of writing about Persico, I wrote to him And I said,
Oh, wow.
dear, you know, I believe I called him Mr. Persico. And I said, I want to write a book about you. If you have objections, I'd like to know now so that we avoid unpleasantness later. And I'd like to write a lot about when you were a kid because I know you were the leader of the Garfield Boys. They had that huge rumble in Prospect Park that turned into West Side Story. And so
Oh, wow.
a week later, his lawyer calls me. At this time, Persico's an old man who's sick in a prison hospital. And he says, Carmine understands the interest in his life, and he has no immediate objection to having you write a book about him. Uh,
Wow.
yeah. Hey, but there are a couple of
Oh,
caveats. One is don't have the book come out this summer because we have a court appearance and we want to be in control of the publicity for that. Two, don't say he's still head of the Colombo family because he ain't. Generations have gone by. He doesn't even know anybody anymore. And the third one, leave his family alone. I said, done, deal. And
wow. That's a
so
big grant.
So I said that what I just said to you to the legal team at Kensington, and they went, "Oh, God bless you, Michael Benson," because by saying he understands the interest in his life, it's a concession that he
Yep.
is who we say he is.
Yep.
And so no legal action came about, and I don't know whatever happened to the granddaughter.
As I'm sitting here, and I've written 2 books with you already, is that how does a nice Jewish boy like you write about the mob?
Well, for one thing, I'm a Catholic.
Okay. Are you?
Yes.
Why do I think Benson is Jewish? I don't know.
Well, I did write Gangsters versus Nazis, which was about Jewish gangsters. Uh, there was a green bomb in my family tree. That could be the reason.
Okay.
I married a lawyer.
Wow. You covered yourself.
That's all. Oh, when you're going to be a freelance writer, having someone who's making good money is good insurance.
Oh,
I
that's
got to do some things that I wouldn't be able to do if I'd had a wife I had to pay for.
hello.
Instead, for a while, she paid for me. Now we pay for each other.
Oh,
That's
that's fantastic.
We just had our 39th wedding anniversary yesterday.
Oh,
They threw
wow.
they threw a football game in our honor. It was
A
I
great.
know.
big
It's
one.
good. The whole
Yeah.
world celebrated. It was
Yeah,
great.
it was
right.
great.
But I have to say this, though, one of the worst games I've seen.
Oh, it's horrible. Just horrible.
I did see, I can't even remember, but because I don't ever sit down for long, but I did see a few commercials that I thought were quite funny, but haven't heard any of the big commercial talk yet. But yeah, I saw a little bit of the game and I thought, oh boy, nobody likes a game like that. They like a bit of a battle,
Oh, I know. It
Yeah.
was terrible.
Anyway, it's not unusual for people to think that I'm Jewish. I have an appearance that I have a schnoz on me.
Oh,
I, I don't know. Anyway, and I did go to Hofstra University, which was 85% Jewish. The first thing I
Maybe
learned when I got to college was they have
what you picked up
holidays.
there. The 4 years you picked all that up.
I had holidays I'd never heard of. It's great. I've been here for a week. They're having some New Year's I never heard of. It's called
Oh,
Shana Na.
that's great. Well, let's
Yeah.
take a quick
Yeah.
break and then we'll get back and talk some more about your books.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break, as Jeannie says, and we'll be right back. We're back. How's that fast break?
Wow.
That is that's a quick one. All right. So getting back into it, when did you start writing books? How long have you been at this? This been your whole career?
Yes, I wanted to be a writer from the time I was a kid. I think the first time I was on, I gave the origin story about my babysitter and her friend were murdered when I was 9, and then I taught myself to write about crime so that I could investigate it. And then when I got good enough, I went back to my hometown, teamed up with a mom of one of the victims and a private detective, and we brought the case to a satisfying conclusion. Which
I thought about
still, yeah, The Devil at Genesee Junction, go out by it. And that's how I started. And then after that, I wrote about other psycho killers. And TV kind of wiped out the true crime section of the bookstore. There's now three different
Oh,
channels that for 24 hours a day they show,
Oh, I know.
adaptations of the books I've written,
IT and yeah,
which is why I'm doing TV all week.
good for you.
Yeah. Um, but so they switched me to mob stuff and did that by introducing me to Frank Damario, who had stories to tell but wasn't completely equipped to tell them.
That's fantastic.
Frank Damario, I met him early on. It's so funny. I had two covers of magazines in my life. The first one was Mad Magazine, and the other one was Mob Candy. That's how my life is going.
Mob candy. That's
That's the
wild.
name of his magazine. That's the name of Frank's magazine yet.
Yes,
Oh,
oh sure.
It's
Mob
huge.
The candy are beautiful women.
That's it.
Yeah, so it's
I
mob
got
stories and pretty girls.
pretty
Now,
chicks.
now I'd like an opportunity for if I could talk about this.
Yes.
This is a book I wrote all by myself. I do that sometimes.
Oh, wow.
I wrote a book a couple years ago called Gangsters
What's the
versus Nazis.
title? The people
This is
who
called
no, I mean, a
Hollywood
lot of people
versus
don't watch it
Nazis.
on film. That's why they listen to it.
There it is. So yeah, a few years ago, I wrote a book called Gangsters versus Nazis about Jewish gangsters who Meyer Lansky. You know
Oh,
Meyer
wow.
Lansky? He used to go around to German American Bund meetings and beat up Nazis, and it kept the Nazi movement in America underground until Pearl Harbor, and then everybody was on board with the United States.
Wow.
Um, so that book did really well, and it's being made into a documentary film to be directed by Bruce David Klein of Atlas Media. He's an Emmy winner. He just did a documentary on Liza Minnelli,
Oh,
you,
wow.
you, who Gianni knows,
So
and
so that's in the works now?
that's in the works now. It's in production. Yeah,
Oh, that's
Wow.
fabulous.
yes, I'm,
Congratulations.
I'm officially an executive producer for the first time in my life.
Congratulations.
So Kensington says, well, what are you going to do for an encore?
Hello.
So I decided to write Hollywood versus Nazis because there was no city in America that Hitler wanted more than Los Angeles because of the Hollywood film machine. He figured if he could take over Hollywood and make pro-Nazi movies that were anti-English and
Hello.
that he would turn America's mind to his side without ever having to fire a shot. Well, it
Wow.
didn't work out. And plus he was, of course, really, really anti-Semitic. And Hollywood was the only industry, Hollywood movies, the only industry in America run completely by Jewish men,
I know.
um, because they had invented the entertainment form and they didn't
That
let
was
loose
it.
with it.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it was only till Howard Hughes was the first goy to get
I
in.
met Mickey Cohen personally out there early on.
Yeah, we have a story about Mickey Cohen in our book.
I know. And that's how we got rid of Drager out there. Nobody even knows. Drager was the boss.
Right.
It's crazy.
I was just reading a book about the Black Dahlia.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow. Well, I'll tell you, I'm scribbling down all these titles of
Okay,
yours.
well, Hollywood versus Nazis. What happened is the Hollywood moguls got together, pooled their money, and put together a team of spies run by a Jewish lawyer named Leon Lewis. And they were undercover spies that went into the German American Bund meetings and the Silver Shirt meetings, all the Nazis, and disrupted their activities, screened employees at the studios. I just, with my wife, watched a movie called Mr. Moto Takes a Chance, a Peter Lorre movie. And the lead actress was Mary McGuire. And she was an actress who crawled into the owner of 20th Century Fox's lap, Joe Skank, and
Oh, yeah.
and got a part in a movie, not a big movie, but a Mr. Moto picture. And then they found out that her fiance was a Nazi. And she said, "Well, I never talk politics with my boyfriend." Well, it didn't make any difference. You've been in the casting room of
Hello.
the head of 20th Century Fox. You're out of town, and she never
Wow.
worked again after that.
That's
So that was
wild.
one of Hitler's tries to get into Hollywood. He went in through the tender trap.
So, how did you get to write this book about Hollywood versus Nazis? What made you do that? Or the
Well, there were two things. I had written a previous book with film director Craig Stevens. Craig Stevens. He was Peter Gunn. Craig Singer, um, a New Jersey film director. He and I wrote a book called Moguls, which was about the Joe and Nicholas Skank. Nick Skank ran Lowe's Inc., which ran MGM, and Joe ran 20th Century Fox and United Artists. So
That's right.
between the two of them, they sort of had a they were more powerful than the Warner Brothers, but nobody knew who they were because they didn't name the company after themselves.
Right.
Oh,
Um,
And they had a lot of nice bungalows around Fox Lot where they kept all their mistresses.
yes, that's right. Everybody got a fur coat and a minimum contract.
That's it.
Um, and Joe Skank was one of Marilyn's first
I,
friends in
I,
Hollywood.
I love Joe. I met Joe 100 times with Marilyn.
Yeah, he was a good guy, right? And they
Yeah,
and they loved each other.
and very
Um,
flamboyant. I like the guy.
but after writing that book and Gangsters versus Nazis, I knew that this had happened, that they had gotten together their money and had dismantled Hitler's attempt to infiltrate Los Angeles. But then I'm reading history books and it's saying, well, those Jewish moguls, they were so greedy that they kept running their pictures in Germany, even though they knew the Nazis were in charge and they should have really pulled out earlier, blah, 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 blah. And I'm going, I can't have this be the history because it was just a cover. They were doing the right thing, not the wrong thing. And Jewish greed had absolutely nothing to do with it. It had to do with saving America.
So, I mean, it's amazing to me because I got to know you in the past few years, and it's your knowledge of that whole world has been your life, basically.
Well, it started back with the JFK assassination. You know,
Yeah, that was an interesting
I
time.
mean, Mafia Secrets is all you, Gianni, and it's your life. But if I lent anything to it at all, it's my expertise in political assassinations because everything you told me fit with what I understood to be the facts of the situation. For example, your Johnny Roselli story, shooting from the storm drain. I
Oh
have
yeah.
been all over Dealey Plaza, sometimes on my hands and knees. I once did a tour with a retired KGB agent. We're trying to figure out what happened at Dealey Plaza, and the place is a storm drain right on the edge of the triple underpass, and
Oh, I
there's a
know,
there's a
right?
ledge to there's a ledge
I
to
went
stand
down there
on.
myself.
You put the gun through the balustrade, you shoot, you go down the hole, you pull the grating in over yourself, and the tunnel leads all the way like 500 yards away. You come out on the other side of the expressway in behind a used car lot.
He
What
told me
better
that
way to do it and escape?
Johnny Roselli told me that story in Florida, like 2 years after he did it.
Mm.
And he said as that car came up, right over the windshield, JFK was sitting on the seat. He had him in his scope before Oswald. I mean, they had four shooters there.
Yeah.
Even Lyndon Baines Johnson had a shooter there. He was not getting out of there. Lyndon Baines
Malcolm
Johnson,
Wallace. Yeah.
hello.
Well, if you,
I mean,
I like the shots where you can see LBJ ducking before the first shot.
oh, I know. He knew it was coming.
oh my gosh.
It's so crazy.
Amazing. That's amazing. Well, so how many books have you written or co-written?
Oh,
Because I've written down a whole bunch.
I'm not sure, Jeannie.
You've lost
Um,
track.
I have. It's a between 60 and 80 somewhere, and not all of them are prideful moments. I was fresh out of college and working for a pay. I wrote a book called Essential Bowling, which even as I'm writing it, I'm saying, who reads about bowling?
That's
A
hilarious.
lot of Polish people.
Who picks up a book to find out how to bowl? You roll the ball, you knock down the pins.
That's
And I
wild.
wrote a book called Slot Machine Strategy.
Very
At least
Did it work? Did it work?
How long have you been with Kensington?
probably, yeah, boy, first book for Kensington was what? Yeah, because some of the books I wrote for other companies that then went out of business, and Kensington has picked up those backlogs of those books. I would say 20 years at least.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, they love you there. I mean, I just talked to James about our new book, and they're supposed to give us a release on that next month.
Very good.
Yeah. So you and I will have a third book together.
Well, we do have a proposal out, which we're keeping quiet about right now. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I miss our Thursday morning talks.
Hello. Every Thursday we talk and write a book.
People thought, oh, Johnny must be tough to work with. No. I say, Johnny, go. He talks for an hour. I have the tape recorder running, and then we say goodbye, and then the next week we do it again.
Yeah.
Well,
that's how we wrote. I didn't meet until after the book came out.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. But as you were talking and you were bringing up names, one of my favorite part about doing the show and me being able to be part of this show is watching Gianni. And when a guest will bring something up and you start bringing up names and he's like, oh yeah, it's amazing to me because I love how it just brings these things. He's so sharp that he remembers all these people, and it's incredible because the stories, I mean, they all go hand in hand, just like he's always said. But it's always fun for me to watch Gianni recognize and go, oh yeah, I knew that guy. I knew that guy. I knew that guy.
My next book with Frank is going to be on Columbo. So Johnny and I have an interview. We're not going to be co-authors for one day. I'm going to be an interviewer, and he's going to be the interviewee. And he's going to tell me about
Columbo.
Yeah,
he was a great guy.
And we'll go over The Godfather again because I'm sure there's stories you haven't told me yet. Maybe you've told me a lot, but
oh no, I will tell you a lot about that. Whatever you want. We're not co-authors. We're friends.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right.
Well, let's do another quick break, and then we can talk a little bit more with you, and then not keep you too long. You ready?
All right, we'll be right back. I want to remind you that March 26th at Goodfellas Restaurant in Garfield, New Jersey, the phone number 973-478-4000. Make a reservation March 26th, Goodfellas Restaurant. We sold out the last time. We're going to sell out this time. And for my friends who want to bring their books, go on Amazon, order both books, bring them. I will sign them for you. We'll have Godfather memorabilia. Be there March 26th. Also, I'll be at Chill Out. For everybody in New Jersey, Chill Out is April 2nd, 3rd, and 4th at the Marriott in Hanover. It's Chill Out, April 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, Hanover Marriott in Winnipeg, New Jersey. All right? That's the Hanover Marriott, April 2nd to the 4th. I'll be there at Chill Out. Bring all your stuff. I'll sign it. Bring the books. Thank you. And I want to remind everybody out there, order Mafia Secrets, Hollywood Godfather. Bring them to all the shows I go to. It'll be my pleasure to sign them for you. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for watching Hollywood Godfather. See you next week. Thank you. And we're back.
Who are our sponsors tonight? Do we know?
Our sponsors today. I mean, well, I don't want to talk about it now. We're on the show.
Okay, all right. I'm just curious.
Well, it is good to have sponsors. I did hear one time they did a Lexus commercial, and I thought, well, out of fairness, they should probably have me driving a Lexus around, helping promote the
That's
car.
exactly right. You should be comped.
Exactly.
Well, what I'm doing now, rather than bore the guest and me do 3 commercials, I pre-record them with Mike.
I get it.
And then he drops them. Makes it easier.
Yeah.
Now that we told our audience.
So, Johnny, I didn't know until 10 minutes ago that you knew Albert Anastasia.
Albert, oh my God. Tony, his brother, was my godfather.
Right, yeah.
They ran the International Longshoreman Union. Him and Marcelos and him ran every seaport from San Francisco to Canada. Look at that border. No.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, Albert was amazing. I mean, well, Albert was a little nuts, but Tony
Well,
was,
I found out why he was nuts.
Let's
He
hear.
was, when he was a little small boy, he was in the big earthquake in Italy.
oh, I didn't know.
And yeah, he spent a year of his life where cops were just shooting beggars. And there was after the earthquake, after a couple of days, there was a tsunami that came in and sucked half of the town out into the Mediterranean Ocean. And I mean, he really saw people getting killed in the streets. So by the time he hopped a ship and came over to America, still as a young man, life was cheap. I mean,
Wow.
he never really got that, you know, anything other than you're going to die sometime sooner or later. So why? How about now, pal?
Well,
Wow.
Uh,
it's so funny you should bring that up now because I compared myself with him when I spent the 6 years in Bellevue. Because when I came out at 12, I watched hundreds of kids die. I stopped making friends with them. And I mean, I wasn't playing stickball in the street. I'm
no,
watching kids die. So you have a,
yeah.
you know, you,
Well,
you, you
that's
look,
part of your strength, Johnny. You didn't go crazy.
right?
Right.
No,
I
I
mean,
know.
it's
Now, who did you say was a little crazy? Albert or his brother?
Albert.
Albert.
Yeah,
No,
Tony was tough.
Tony was, that's why they called him Tough Tony. Tony ran the International Longshoremen's Union with him and Marcellus out of New Orleans. They ran it, one of the biggest memberships in the world.
Wow.
And
Well,
that's why Kay got elected. That's one of the big bodies of
Right.
votes
That's right.
I had. I was traveling around. I was 17.
that's incredible. Yeah, you look back at your life, Gianni. You took a. How long were you in Bellevue? 7? No, 5 years? 7 years?
I was going on 7 years. I went in when I was just turning 7 in August 4th, 1948, and 49 rather. And then I came out after that. But and then I killed a pedophile, so they moved me from the Bellevue quarantine ward to the psych ward. That didn't make any. That didn't left an impression. Forget about it. There's everybody in the psych ward. The floor is shaped like a funnel. Men, women, everybody totally nude. And I didn't even, this was before magic markers. We had a number on our shoulder, on our skin. So the doctors knew who they were observing.
That's
Johnny, I think that section in our book is some of the best literature that's ever come out of these fingertips. I mean, the story's yours, and many of the words are yours. But I, I, you talk about Marlon Brando teaching you how to act by having you envision things.
Right.
I put myself in your situation, and it wasn't as hard as you might think because I was a sickly kid. I spent a couple of years in bed myself. I was bad asthmatic within my room with the machinery going. Um, I had so many advantages over you, though. I had a loving mom and dad who were there. I had friends who would come over and visit, and people weren't dying around me. Although
Right.
there was a sort of a feeling that I was probably not going to make it to adulthood. So surprise. So I kind of got that part, uh, but I had to really, really get deep into my understanding of human feelings to understand how you survived that and came out a rational thinking human being. And I think that that's why that transistor radio is so important
Oh my
because
God.
that was your lifeline. That was your connection outside of the room you were in because you were in hell and you
Oh,
needed to know that there was a place that wasn't hell
well, that's why
to
when
aspire to.
I mean, you saying it and giving it the true meaning of what it was to me, most people don't know that. I didn't just turn the radio on and share my birthday with Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra gave me an extension also. If he did it, humble beginnings in Hoboken, he inspired me to do it. I did it and I got out. And here I am, 83, still going crazy.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I mean, you sat there. I love that. You know, you think of kids, and I know nowadays, Lewis Black is a hilarious comedian, and he was talking about CNN or whoever it was. You guys gave us ADD because you have something on the screen and there's something going across the top, something going across the bottom, and so much chaos. And I just think you are such a smart person for not going to school. The lessons you learned, you know, you knew how to quiet yourself, you took in what was going on around you, and I think that served you throughout your life. And the other thing is you came out of there and have just taken life by storm. You know, you made every minute count. And I just look at people now and they are so spoiled, number one. So
Oh my
sit there
God.
and grown people whine. I can't take it. But I just look at that and I just think some people are such big boobs, and I'm thinking, are you kidding me? You know, I where I worked, people are whining. They don't have a good enough humidifier in the air, or a air not freshener, air purifier, and the light's not right. And I'm like, son of a gun, shut up. You know,
Oh,
they just
yeah.
are so spoiled. And I look at what you've done, and even you, Michael, that you know, you guys dealt with some truly hard things.
It's
And
called survival.
right. And kids don't know how to survive anything anymore. It's so impressive. It's very cool. I love hearing both of your stories, and I think, boy, that's kids need to hear your stories. They wouldn't even know what to do with themselves, you know,
Oh,
if they had any time
it
like
slit
that.
their wrists. Forget about it.
That's exactly right. It is very inspiring, and I appreciate both of you telling your stories because it's really neat.
Well, Michael, thank you so much for doing the show, number
Oh,
one.
Gianni,
I
thanks so much for having me.
No, I mean, you know, we have so many great things going on. I can't. I know your Columbo book is going to be fabulous, obviously, and a big success. And we'll have
No,
you back.
we're selling Gambino today. Columbo
Oh,
coming.
Oh
Gambino. What
yeah,
am I talking about?
Gambino. Tell us, show
I
us.
forgot what criminal we're talking about today.
That's right. Show
The
us the book
Gambino
again.
story.
It's okay. I forget what hat I'm wearing.
Right. Show us the book. Tell us where we can get it.
There it is.
Carlo Gambino, Boss of Bosses, right?
Carlo
Yep.
Gambino, Boss of Bosses. It is on sale February 24th.
Oh,
Oh, it's not out yet.
Very soon.
Oh
nice.
yeah. Thank you for
Yeah.
my
Well,
copy.
if you when you have Frank and I back, and I hope you will, it'll be on sale then.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
good.
but this will be out this
Very
month.
soon. A few days. You
Yep.
could pre-order it online. Not
All
a
right.
problem. Probably
Mike-
cheaper now.
Look, there's
right.
room on this side of if you would like to sit a book right here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jeannie.
Yeah, I
Text
love
him, text him your address. He'll
I
sign
will.
you.
I want an autograph.
Oh, I will absolutely send you a book. Sure.
Thank you. Thank you. I can't wait to read it. It sounds, I mean, I just want you to know, I was taking notes on all these books I want to read.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm excited. And I hope this one is a huge success too.
Just send me a list. I'll send you some comps.
Oh, well, thank you. All right. Well, we wish you the best of luck, and thank you so much for coming
Thank you,
on.
Jeannie.
See
Have
you
a good
Thank you.
night.
All right. Thank you.
too.
Please.
Thanks.